Welcome. Thanks for joining me here at Beyond the Capital. Could you start by introducing your company?
Great to be here. Thank you. Get Bueno is a one-stop solution platform for property owners. We literally provide banking services, currency exchange, insurance, renewable electricity, home security, help with tax calculation and payment. So we're literally freeing up time, making it far more convenient for people so they can enjoy what they first bought a second property for. We currently generate revenue in Spain, but we're easily scalable right the way through Europe. But if you think of why someone moves to Spain, they may want the weather, the beach, alfresco dining, golf, and we enable them to do more of what they want to do and spend less time on bone crash and admin.
But why? What is it? Come on, what was the journey then? That's very specific, niche, based in Birmingham, UK.
Good question.
Servicing Spain. Talk me through that.
So actually, in 2022, 15% of all properties sold in Spain were purchased by foreigners, of which Brits are the biggest. So over 800,000 Brits own property in Spain, 3.7 million holiday homes there, 7.2 million expats. So
big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers. And Spain is, if you think about it, for Brits who want to get to the sunshine, it's the obvious choice. But actually, we have paying customers from 20 different countries. Brits are the most significant buyers of property in Spain. And so why Spain? In essence, maybe do you by chance have a use of a property overseas?
Yeah, I've been to a few that are owned by others, yeah.
So in general, when you have a property overseas, you're going to have some... Shall I paint a story of what it's like?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
Okay.
Go on, what's it like?
So before Bueno, this was very typical. Let's say that you travel with your family in hot weather to Spain. After traveling for a couple of hours or so, you travel from the airport, you're hot, you get to your house, you're greeted by a notice saying, all of your utilities have been cut off. And you think, what? I had money in my bank account. How can this happen? No water to wash or feed your toddler.
Yeah, last thing doesn't say holiday, does it?
Yeah, you thumb through your post and discover as a non-resident, you had to attend your bank branch in person once or more a year to represent your documents, or your account is automatically suspended. And you think, like, wow, that's so archaic.
And just completely different.
Yeah,
as a system.
And this is right the way across Southern Europe. We happen to be in Spain, but we're highly scalable right the way across Europe, UK, EEC. But our niche is really serving foreign property owners and owners of second properties. And thinking about buying journey of someone in Spain particularly, the Spanish estate agent would have invited them to fly down, probably escorted them to a local bank branch, and spent over 2 hours helping them physically open a bank account. Because before Bueno, you literally had to fly down to open and maintain bank accounts, which is why we refer to ourselves as a scalable green fintech from Birmingham. Because essentially, what we do at getbueno.com, you can open an account from anywhere, anytime, in less than 10 minutes.
Wow. And then you've got other bits then you talked about initially that bolt on around that. So there's banking, you talked about insurance and stuff, and so different services in order to make that journey simpler.
Exactly that. What we're building is a total financial ecosystem for property owners, starting with foreign and second owners. So anything to do with the property is what we currently focus on. So right now we service banking, currency exchange, insurance, renewable electricity, home security, and help with filing non-resident taxes. So we do the calculations, make the payments easy. Anything that frees up time. So like people have the dream of going to the sunshine, walking on the beach, playing golf, alfresco dining, whatever they first chose to go to Spain or any other country.
Yeah,
for.
Not admin to do with the property.
Not admin. And so we make that so much easier. And our customers love what we do. We have like 95% retention at 2 years and 4.9 out of 5 on reviews.
That's fabulous. Then, so thinking about how you've got to this point, and we're thinking about partnerships particularly.
Yes.
And how that's helped drive businesses. How have they featured them within that? Is that part of the portfolio or the mechanism for how you're delivering this service?
Yeah, 100%. Because if we were to have, for example, gone down the banking route, you have huge requirements for capital, right? And so as a fintech, what we want to be is agile, nimble. And part of that is partnering with best-in-class suppliers to enable that. Now, we still had to get approved by Bank of Spain to operate, so that took longer than it really anyone would have thought, and I can go through the challenges of that. But essentially what we do, our business wouldn't exist without partners. We rely on them. So we have banking as a service partner that supplies all of our regulated banking services, what's known as BAS, but banking as a service supplier. Think of them as a technology partner. We have a strategic partnership with Currencies Direct, a British company, one of the three massive payment enablers, with bank beating exchange rate. Just to give you an idea of just how good that is, we recently had a customer that over the course of a year saved more than 1 month's pension payment based on using a payment provider,
Wow.
our payment provider through Beuno.
So non-bank transfers.
Yeah. Not only the currency exchange, but fees and stuff like that, just much cheaper. Then you have insurance. Again, we go through a partner called Tullio. OptiQ enables them, and they're underwritten by Swiss Re as a reinsurer. And again, compared to a bank-purchased insurance, that's roughly 50 to 60% cheaper buying it, online. But best of all, what we do for our customers is we provide really a white glove service. So what I mean by that is, before we launched, the biggest single problem people, expats and foreigners, were having was help setting up direct debits. Because in Spain you have to manage each of your utility relationships yourself. And what we do is not only help setting up direct debits, but actually a personal assistance service where if you have a problem with your utility provider, we solve that for you. Now, what that means is that for any of our customers, we save them huge time and frustration. But much more than that, unless someone is fluent in Spanish, we are utterly indispensable. Because you think about making insurance and that sort of thing, you really won't be successful.
Language.
Suddenly, unless you're fluent in Spanish, it's going to be hard. So we have a big relationship with Europe's leading home security enabler. And that's a recent service we deployed, and customers are really excited about it. And we're very much focused on being green and creating more sustainability. We have specific 10 to 15% reductions in customer home emissions over the next 5 years. And one of the ways we do that is partnering for renewable electricity. So for people with apartments, which is quite common, renewable electricity is probably the best way to go. We're also looking for a partnership to deploy solar panels. Ever since we started, we've been planting one new tree for every single new customer, and that's really significant over time as we accumulate.
As you scale. And so I can see the commercial bits and what it's doing with each of those partnerships for your offering.
Yeah.
What's in it for the other side then? I mean, partnerships being a two-way, thinking about what's in it for the Currencies Direct, etc., and the ones you've labelled. Is it different, or is it commercial, or?
We've actually chosen very carefully. Like we for example, I'll come to Currencies Direct because they're probably our biggest strategic partner, and we have a fabulous relationship with them. But for example, on insurance, I could mention a name, but I won't. But they would be a globally recognized name, and we spoke to them, bearing in mind that what we do is really high service, simple, convenient, time-saving, and most importantly, remote. In other words, you don't have to be in country if you don't need to be. We serve customers from 20 different nationalities, different languages, So we asked this really globally known insurance company, if one of our customers walk us through your onboarding, what does that look like? And they said, okay, so after you've shared the leads, we will call them. Okay, what language will you speak with them? Spanish. Is there any choice on that? No, Spanish only.
Fail.
That's not going to work for us, And so we really actually, in many ways, had to find partners that were committed to providing high service levels. And out of the three big payment enablers that you may be able to think of, Currencies Direct really stood out. Because they have a multinational massive reach. They're probably the biggest in Spain, 21 physical offices. But most importantly for us, they really provide a very high level of service. They literally guide people through, just as we do, in help, setting up and resolve direct debits and resolve.
It's very
issues.
aligned on that value.
Off you go. There are digital banks which have phenomenal apps, but if you want to speak to a human, it's incredibly difficult to do so unless you're on their super ultimate tier.
Yeah.
We are not that service. In fact, how we differ from major digital banks is that most digital banks, their most frequent customer is in their 30s or less. They're mainly used for free, no-frills service and provide a general solution to the mass market. Whereas what we do is really targeted, servicing a pain state. Our most frequent customer is in their 50s and really values the kind of high service. If I have a problem, just...
Less of a self-service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they can get hold of us and speak their language.
So it sounds like it's been quite easy going then.
Oh,
it's easy.
Yeah. Do you know, oftentimes when I speak to fellow entrepreneurs, they say to me, oftentimes is the glitz and the glamour of an exit and like huge paydays and stuff like this. And the reality is very different. And for entrepreneurs, what they most want to know is like kind of how are the first 3 years? Right?
Yeah. So how have you first 3 years then, Felix?
I can tell you, and this isn't. I had the pleasure of meeting Geoff Walters late last year, and just socially, he set up. He was critical to Egg Bank and is a multi-exited fintech.
Yeah, he's one of our fintech leaders.
Yeah, well, he's tremendous, and that's one of the benefits of being Birmingham-based. He said to me, you really haven't faced the abyss until you've swapped out your first technology partner, and we did that at the first 4 months of 2023, so I know exactly what he was talking about. But he also said, in every businesses, and he's a multi-exited entrepreneur, he said the first 2 years are really hard graft, and then year 3 we had hockey stick growth. And Beuno exactly mirrors that. And to put specific numbers on that, so we had the idea for Beuno in 2020, but actually having to get approval from the Bank of Spain, we didn't get that in place until September 2021. So that was really when we were real.
Were you able to acquire customers, or could you
No.
do nothing?
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
We didn't even start
Different
development.
regulatory environments.
Until we, like our customer-facing, the app and the websites and stuff, we didn't really want to invest hugely until we knew, because everyone was saying, no, you can't do this.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. It's never been done before. The level of, we were told a few months, and it ended up being like nearer 4-6 months,
Wow.
and just, anyway, one thing after another. But you have to understand when I say this to you that for our business, we only serve paying customers. We're a paid-for subscription business. And part of our take on, at least for our banking services, involves anti-money laundering and know your customer procedures, right? So it's not one of these crazy we got 20,000 customers, So I'll give you the numbers because I think it's really what people need to know. The first 100 customers for us, and this reflects all of our challenges in coming to market, took 556 days.
Nearly 2 years.
Yeah. The next 100 took only 187 days. The next 100, 48 days. The next 100, 36 days. So you can see how, and so on and so forth. So you can see the exponential growth, right?
Yeah.
But as I say, literally the first 2 years were crushingly hard. There were times when John and I are co-founders of the business. John, actually, it's his idea. I was just the first person he called. And, there are times when we always prioritized paying the team. And there were times in those very early days where we didn't take anything monthly. So I would say to any entrepreneur, know that you need to have enough funds to fund yourself for a couple of years and also for contingencies. We're in an exciting space now because we are in really fast growth. We will achieve our first 100,000 a month revenue this year. We'll also be profitable, which is super rare.
Congratulations.
We designed that. Thank you. We designed Beuno to focus on getting to self-generative cash as quickly as possible, versus kind of the more sort of freemium-based approach. So it was very deliberate to only serve paying customers from the start. Although that made things tougher, I'm sure we would do things faster, with different ways. Look, I can look back on that journey and there'll always be things we could do faster, better, But that's also the fun. So now we're looking for, we're away. We're actually having interesting conversations with people who'd like to invest in us. And that's interesting because we've planned this to be sort of self-generated, self-funding, and we have a very good kind of working capital cycle. But now we really know what we're doing and how we're doing it, what works, what doesn't. That's been the key learning over the last kind of couple of years and plus. And so the injection of even more cash, we would be able to do things quicker, no doubt about it. So they're interesting conversations to have. We've just launched, as I mentioned, home security, and they have some really interesting added value services, like things you don't necessarily think of for your primary residence because you're living there. But as a second residence, they not only do the obvious things like fire and burglary alarms, but in Spain actually squatting is a significant issue, and you have to take fast action because otherwise squatters get rights very quickly.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh.
So they deal with that as well. But beyond that, like if your washing machine has a leak, they can detect that. And if you think about a remote property that may be a holiday home, this type of thing, spotting it early, getting an alert.
I could do them at home.
Well, funny you say that. Our long-term, first of all, we'll roll out, we have our two pillars of growth are really geographical expansion and also product expansion. So, already our annual revenue per user is 4 times that of Revolut or N26, for example. But every successive service we launch increases that convenience, simplicity, and value for our customers. And we really want to be that one-stop shop. So there's still a journey, and there's plenty of more products to launch.
Plenty to do.
On the growth side of things, geographically, we'd love to take a 2.5% share initially. Act 1 is 2.5% market share in the 18 million second homes across Southern Europe. That would be over $1 billion in valuation, for sure. We have comparisons for that. Act 2 is rolling out across UK, EU and EEC, for which we already have technology ingredient in place. And then Act 3 didn't really fully circle back to Currencies Direct, but they're a multinational business, and we can leverage on partners to really do like the Americas and other places as well.
Wow. I mean, good luck. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today and hearing a little bit more, and we hope one day you'll come back and be able to tell us a little bit more about how the roadmap has gone.
Love to do that.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.